I'm Giovanni Gallucci for Xtrain.com, and we're talking social media. Specifically in this class, we're going over video and images on the web. And in this chapter, which is chapter 4, we want to talk about video sharing. A lot of people want a magic formula. They want to, call me up and just say, just tell me what to do. In fact, I got an email this morning from somebody asking what they could do to create a podcast company in a way that nobody else, that his competitors couldn't compete with, and they couldn't beat him to the punch. And there's not a magic formula for that. There's not a magic formula for creating online video that's going to be successful. Now, there are some best practices we can talk about, and there's some advice I can give you based upon what successful people have done. And there's 5 primary points when we're talking about viral videos and sharing videos on the web. One is obviously sit down and have a plan and have a strategy. Think about what you're doing. Talk about it beforehand. As with any other marketing program you might have, you don't want to just walk into it blindly and say, okay, what are we going to do today? So sit down. If you're a more traditional videographer, you may actually map out scenes and things of that nature and do storyboards, but at least have some kind of a bulleted plan about what you're going to do and how you're going to go about it, especially if you have multiple people involved, so that your marketing strategy is organized and your execution is organized as well. Make sure that you've got compelling content. Make sure the creative is there. And that can be in the form of a great story. It can be in the form of a great, charismatic personality that can take otherwise, mundane content and make it more exciting. But make sure your creative is solid. I'm not necessarily talking about graphics and things of that nature or production quality. I'm talking about if you're scripting stuff out, when you're planning, when you're talking about conceptualizing what you're going to do. Make sure that's solid and make sure it's unique and make sure it's compelling. Execution, this is logistics. Again, have a plan. It's one thing to have a good marketing strategy. It's another thing to be able to execute the operations and logistics correctly. So if you're using 5 or 6 people to go from start to finish in creating a video for use online, it's important to communicate well. It's important to plan properly, and to make sure that people know what you expect out of them. If you're doing it all yourself, if you're a one-person show, then it's up in your head, and you still want to execute well and have a plan, but it's not necessarily as important to communicate, because if you can't communicate to yourself, you have bigger problems. Production capabilities and production quality. This is something that's interesting. I think that we're on the cusp in social media where this is going to become more important here in the immediate future. But today, good enough is still good enough when it comes to production capabilities. You don't necessarily have to have, an expensive studio. You don't have to have, a $7,000 video camera. In fact, Canon just released the HV20. It's a high-def camera, very small. It's about the third the size of the camera that I use, and the quality on it is amazing. And one thing that kills me is it's a third the cost of the camera that I use too. So we're talking about a Canon camera that is, small enough to fit into a backpack comfortably. You're probably still going to need an extended mic to get great audio out of it, but it produces better video quality and at a third of the price than my Canon does, and my prosumer Canon does. So I'm going to still convince myself that my camera has a good qualities, and I'm going to keep it around. But there's a lot of consumer cameras out there that are fantastic quality that are going to do fine for you. And when we talk, if you look at the video podcasting class, we'll talk about software and techniques there, and talk about, again, good enough and doing some basics to get a video podcast or create a viral video on the web. The community itself, it's important, and we've talked about this in the other social networking and social media classes, to have an understanding of the community you're addressing and respect for it. Whether you're producing a blatant advertisement or whether you're doing something more stealthy, it's important to understand the group that you're addressing and do it in such a way that's going to be received well. Because again, while there's a great opportunity in social media, the mob mentality can overtake you very quickly if you do things that aren't respectful of the different communities that are out there. So be in tune with where you're deploying this stuff and make sure that it's appropriate for the right audience. And then lastly, the advertising team or the marketing team you're going to use to market your marketing video has got to be savvy to social media. They've got to be savvy to the social networking sites. You don't want to go and do all this homework, create this great viral video, and then have, put it in the hands of some marketers and have them go and bobble the last 5 yards before you make the touchdown by not understanding the platform that they're marketing to. So make sure that the marketing team, whether it's an individual or a group of folks or an agency, make sure that they have a proven track record in working in this area successfully, so you can have a sense of the fact that they understand the environment, that they're not going to make any mistakes after you've gone through all this trouble to create this viral video. So that was a lot when it comes to video sharing, and we covered a lot of stuff that also overlaps in other areas of social media. But again, a lot of the specific recommendations I can make in video sharing have been discussed in other areas. We're talking about banners, we're talking about linking, things of that nature, but I wanted to get into some more details about actual execution in this video, and I chose the video sharing sites one because this is going to be where you're going to have the most opportunity. We've got a few more classes to go with video and image online and utilizing those for your online marketing strategy, so come back and we're going to talk more about video and image sharing in just a second.